welcome to the Crush TV podcast. My name is John Morgan, and today I'm with Nick Watson from the amazing Team Angel Wolf. Nick, how you doing?
Absolutely fantastic, and thank you very much for inviting us today.
No, I appreciate it, and thanks for coming in. I noticed this morning you just cracked out a casual 50k out in the track. How's that going so far? You're looking pretty tanned as well.
I've got the best cycling tan at the moment. So literally, it stops at the top of the arm, and obviously I've got brown legs, but the rest of the body is very white. So yeah, we've kicked off another initiative through this month, and again, I think for most people coming out of lockdown, we thought, look, what could we do? And for those that know the story about Rio, the priority was also to get him active again. So we thought, let's go cycling, and then it started off with an idea of we're getting back out on the track, and then I went, well, it'd be absolutely quite cool if we did something every day. We set a benchmark of 50 kilometers every day.
Yeah, you don't do things in half measures, do you?
Not really, not really. So we started, and yeah, we're day 17. So the goal is 50k every day pulling Rio. And just to give you some stats, Rio weighs about 45 kilo. The chair is about 20. So obviously do the maths. It's tough. If it's windy, it's even harder. But the goal wasn't just about taking Rio out. It was trying to inspire people again to move.
Yeah.
To be active. So we've created this campaign called Move in June, and then hashtag Ride with Rio. So yeah, it's good. It's interesting. We're getting lots of people joining us as well.
Yeah, I think it's really great, and obviously we're going to talk about some of the other things you did during the depths of the lockdown and the pandemic and everything. But I think you're right. I mean, the part of what people realized over the past couple of months, that became a lot more aware about their own personal physical health and mental health as well. But I think everyone kind of evaluated what they were doing and maybe see if they can do better. So I love the fact that you're kind of continuing that. And I think, from what I can see observationally, like a lot of people there's more people out walking, even though it's 49, 50 degrees every day. People are still persisting with it, which is great. And it's certainly one of the big positives that's come out of this. So I think it's really cool that you're continuing that on and proving that anyone can do this, and we're out doing it as well. And like I said, not in half measures either. So it's pretty cool.
Well, look, to be honest with you, it was like anything, and we wanted to set something that wasn't too far. You know what I mean? I was thinking about this morning because I was actually quite fatigued by the time I got in the car, and again, we're day 17, so it's very repetitive. And I kind of thought to myself, what distance could we have done? Could I gone out and typically done 100 kilometers a day? Would have taken us 5 hours on the bike every day. Would I done 150? Would I done 10? But I think the goal was to challenge myself a little bit. Rio just loves being out, I'll be honest with you. And I thought 50 kilometers is quite cool because we've had so many people that have been joining us, because the goal was not only to just move in June. We've been asking people to share their stories, share their photos, and then every night we're doing a live session on Facebook and Instagram, inviting people to come on. And on the Facebook, we're getting a kind of collage of people's photos, and they're telling us what they've done. There's been one lady started at 12 kilometers on the 1st of June. She hit 50 the other day. And I'm like, this is awesome. And then there's some other guys, and there's some great stories that are coming out. Another guy's doing 50k every day. And you just kind of go, yeah. And I think what people like, and I suppose this goes back to what Team Angel Wolf is all about, is telling stories. I tell a story, this is ours. But where we are at the moment, especially in where the world is at the moment, there are so many positive stories out there, but we want people to tell them. So we're going, okay, can we be that platform? And can we inspire others? Because our goal is very simple. If one individual, by his actions, whatever he's doing on a daily basis, inspires one person to move, we've done a great job.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's where I kind of want to start the conversation today. Is like, can you just walk us through and how Team Angel Wolf started? Tell us, the beginning and what's inspired the whole movement, if you want to say, at this stage.
Well, look, it's a long journey. So Rio now is 17. At the age of 6 months, he had his first episode, I'd like to call it at the time. We were bathing Rio. It was a Friday afternoon, and as we got Rio out the bath, he literally stopped breathing, went completely floppy, blew, collapsed into our arms. Obviously, we panicked. We jumped into the car, rushed down to the hospital, and after about 7 minutes, he came out of this first episode. The doctor saw him, said he looked okay, and went home. Obviously, we were petrified of what just happened. Obviously, our first child. Next day, same thing happened. We were bathing Rio. As we got him out of the bath, he went into this unconscious state. And, you know, 7 minutes is a long time when you've got a child that is blue, struggling to breathe. And, we're thinking every time we're going to lose my son.
Yep.
And then, this started to happen on a regular basis. So every couple of days, Rio was having a seizure. And then we started, obviously, starting to see doctors, specialists. We started to travel around the world to find out what was happening with Rio. And he was having lots of other difficulties as well with his own development. And I wouldn't say when you put a child, because every child develops at a different rate. We realized Rio was struggling with lots of things: eating, feeding, balance, stability, sensory integration. And it took us down a journey. It took us 4.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And at 4.5 years, we found some great specialists in London. Their speciality was chromosomes. And we found that Rio had a part of a chromosome missing. So he's deleted off chromosome 1. And his condition is super rare. It's actually named after the part of the deletion on the chromosome. So it's called 1q44 deletion.
Mm-hmm.
It also has another word at the end. This is de novo, which means it's non-hereditary. So life has given us Rio. It's not, the condition's not come from mum nor dad. And it's, for us, it's been a struggle. And our story, we've been in Dubai for 22 years. We're just up to open up our first personal training center as Rio came along, and lots of different things were happening. And for any family, it was, they were tough times. There were tough times on any level. Obviously, opening up our own business as well, and it kind of led us to a little bit of a roller coaster ride. The first company that we set up, unfortunately, we had the wrong partners as we started to expand, and we lost that. And then we opened up something else, we lost that. So I think it's a Freedom Pizza kind of story as well. And on the second occasion, in 2014, I had a bit of a health scare. They found a big lump in my colon, which if it stayed there, I probably wouldn't be here today, of which they removed. And it was a bit of a wake-up call. So for me, it was like, okay, I need to do something for myself. And the last time I did a big race, as in my sport, was triathlon. It was actually the World Championships in Kona in Hawaii in 2002. And I wanted to go back there. But the issue with doing the World Championships, you have to do a qualifying race to get there. So I kind of planned it. I said, like, okay, 6 months, I want to do Ironman Barcelona, and started to train, started to prep for it. And things were kind of going well, but then life, business, we're just going for this turmoil with our second company. And my wife just turned around one day and said, "You ever thought about racing with Rio?"
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, how am I going to do that? What do I need? Obviously, I need some equipment. We reached out to Dubai and said, look, guys, who would like to help, assist, sponsor, get involved? And we'll see where this story goes. So we did our first race. It was what we call Dubai International Triathlon, a half Ironman distance, so 1.9 swim, 90k bike, 21k run. And we did that in 2014, and that was our first race. Crossed the finish line. Rio was 12 at the time, tiny. And we came to realize all of a sudden Rio was happy. He was just content to sit on a kayak, to be with a bike, to be in this pushchair. And we hadn't really done much kind of training or preparation for it. And we had no idea what our expectations was. We were thinking maybe he might get in the swim and he might want to get out, and that's it, finished. Might get on the bike, he might want to finish and go home. The same thing on the run, but content all the way through. And then we just started racing. And since then, I think we're 200 plus races, about 6,000 kilometers of swimming, biking and running. And yeah, the story's kind of evolving.
Yeah, that's great. It's great to kind of hear how everything began, and obviously the challenges that you overcame, and where you are now, where Team Angel Wolf is. A big part of your messaging is inclusion of people with disabilities. I think you're showing that Rio, he loves it. He's absolutely ecstatic every time he does a race, and I think you've mentioned it to me before that he has this almost a high after every challenge or every race that you do. I think that's amazing. And how do you feel like the Team Angel Wolf message of inclusion, how do you think that's going? And what do people need to do to kind of support that as well?
Look, I think for everyone, like we said before, is everyone's in their own journey. And I don't think there's any right or wrong of how people should include people into their lives with disabilities. What we've done over the years is done a series of activities. So I do something, obviously not now at the moment, called Beach Blast. So we've got a series of 5 floating wheelchairs. We bring children with determination or disabilities to the beach. And then we go to schools, we tell our story, and we invite the kids to come down. And all of a sudden, the children have to help a child out of a wheelchair into a floating wheelchair, and they go off and play. It's no real structure. It's just trying to give them the opportunity. And it's interesting because when the children come, at the beginning, they're like, not quite sure what to do. Some children never met another child with disabilities, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do." An hour later, they're best friends.
Yeah.
The word disability, that's gone. And they're having a great time. We have races up and down the beach. So I think it's being able to create opportunities for others. Just have those experiences. And I think especially for children, the earlier they are and they understand that, things are, I don't want to use the word perfect, but things are different. And as much as they get those opportunities, it allows the child to develop. And and that's been our kind of goal. And now what we find, anyone that knows Rio comes over and says hello. Whereas, before there was always an apprehension because people weren't quite sure what to do. What do I do? I don't know. Will Rio talk to me or whatever. But those kind of things starting to disappear, and it's beautiful, and it's exactly what we wanted. And that's what, for me, inclusion is all about. How do we include everyone? And I think what we find as well, I don't think, and it's not just really generally here, I think it's globally, I don't think many people have the opportunity to have those experiences to meet someone with a disability. So if we can make it fun, and again, our whole ethos is about sport, our activity, I think sport always breaks down barriers. You go cycling together, you got a common interest. So if Rio's there's a common interest. And I think that's been probably one of the big ticks that's allowed us to do what we do. And then obviously allow other people to come in and join.
Yeah, I mean that's really cool, and I think the bigger message as well is getting the community, like you mentioned at the start, is getting the community involved and inspiring people just to take maybe that first 2K run or going out for a walk, whatever they're comfortable with. I suppose it's fair to say at the moment, like Team Angel Wolf, the Team Angel Wolf is the Watson family, but it's a broader community now. And we can see from anything that you've done recently. I'm going to talk about the Climb with Rio. I mean, you had a phenomenal response to that, where everyone was in the same scenario where they were kind of stuck at home and kind of getting a bit more creative with how they're going to exercise. So the Climb with Rio campaign was kind of a great kind of example there, because you managed to get everyone involved, and there was a huge kind of, I suppose, the Team Angel Wolf community really came together for that, and that must have been pretty special for you as well.
Well, look, and again, we're in a position over the last few months thinking what would be best for Rio. We were in a position for all of us that we weren't allowed outside. So how do we keep Rio content? And one of the activities we have actually done in the past is tower climb. So I literally got a strap, put Rio attach him to my back, and there's races. There's one back in, I think it was September or October, in Emirates Towers. So you climb up Emirates Towers, and it's brilliant and fantastic event, by the way. So we were thinking, okay, what could we do? And then the goal to it was not just obviously about ourselves and just Rio, but how could we get other people involved? So we created this kind of Let's Climb with Rio. We set ourselves a challenge, which was ridiculous, to be honest with you, was to climb the equivalent height of Burj Khalifa up and down, because obviously every time we go up our flight of stairs, we have to come down. And we then reached out to the community and said, look, who wants to join? But then what we said to everyone, said, look, you don't have to climb Burj Khalifa. Climb a landmark or a hill or something of inspiration around the world. And that could be Big Ben, the Eiffel Tower, the pyramids in Egypt. And we created this little manual with all little workshops. We sent it to schools. We sent it to companies. And the response, like you said, was just alarming. And kind of people just went, yeah, this is cool. We really want to do this. And then we picked a date live to do this. We did our climb in the evening. on a Saturday, but we opened it from a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and said, look, climb your monument or whatever it is, indoors or wherever you are, and join us as we do ours live. And then what we wanted to do is make it as inclusive as possible, because to be honest with you, not everyone at those times even had a stairwell, didn't have stairs. So we said, look, get a bench, step up and down the bench, calculate how high every step is, and obviously you'll climb X amount of steps to get the top of Big Ben, for example. And then also we reached out for people that were wheelchair bound, and we said, look, create obviously a distance in a space, a living room. Every time you go in one direction, that's an elevation. So you go 10 meters, you're going 10 meters up, and then 10 meters back. And like you said, it was just super embraced. We had schools. Schools were calculating with for a whole weekend with all their pupils how many times they climbed up. They chose Burj Khalifa, for example, and how many times they actually, the whole school climbed up and down Burj Khalifa. And it's similar with corporates and stuff. And we just went, this is really nice. And I think now looking back, and I'll tell you, we're expanding this concept, and we're going to do Climb with Rio World Tour. We just kind of thought how awesome that it was people joining us. But I think when people do events, we're always there to do a race, and what's the objective? Maybe to win, maybe to achieve a goal, whatever it was. But I think when people have a story behind why they're doing it, and I think that's why we just got such a great response, because people are like, yeah, I'll climb up the stairs, because they could imagine me climbing. It took me 4 hours 45 minutes to finish 118 flights up and down Avila. So yeah,
ridiculous. And you said Rio's what he's weighing in at now?
He's weighing in about 45 kilos. So you just kind of go, not me, the physical side, just get on with it. But Rio sat strapped to my back for 4.5 hours, laughing, giggling, smiling, and to me, I think that's an inspiration to anyone. You know what I mean? So, and again, it's just another story. And I think where we're taking this is the importance of telling stories, and everyone's got a great story out of that.
Well, I think that's the best part about it was you didn't say to people, oh, you must climb Burj Khalifa distance. You made it their own. Everyone could carve out their own journey 100%. And their own challenge, and that was whatever's important to them. And that really ties in the inclusivity thing. And it's, I suppose, too often with exercise and physical activity, it's like you must do this, or this is the perfect way to do that. But really, it's what's important to you, or what's achievable for you, and everyone has their own kind of steps in the ladder that they want to hit, and that's probably the best part about it. So I just love the whole ethos of that, and it really it rings through for me as well. But I think someone who's, I'm not saying I've got anywhere close to the distances or the achievements that you have, but I've always treated exercise as something that's personal to me,
100%.
And it's not what anyone else is doing. It's this is what I want to achieve, and that's what I get out of it. So it's a really, I think, a powerful message, and I think the momentum, hopefully, that we can carry this through now, and this becomes just almost a like brushing your teeth in the morning. You do your exercise, and you do whatever kind of fits in with your lifestyle and what you want to achieve.
100%.
So it's really, really great with that. And even, I suppose, you've done some pretty cool stuff even in the last 12 months, let's say. I know we've obviously been meeting over the past while continuously, and you've been kind of filling me in on things, and I've obviously seen online. Tell us about some of you did 7 triathlons in 7 Emirates, or seven Ironmans?
Yeah, we did 7 half Ironmans in 7 days in 7 Emirates.
Okay.
Back in it was a lead up to so just over a year ago. So it's lead up to the Special Olympics. And a very dear friend of ours who's now becoming a real integral part of Team Age Wolf and helping us grow. A guy called Peter Goodwin, and he was head of all kind of marketing and obviously everything to prepare for Special Olympics. And we kind of got to meet, and I got to meet with the Special Olympics, and we were like, look, this is just such an important event for the region. How can we get involved? And we kind of discussed, and I just came up one day. I said, look, guys, what about we do an activation prior to the games that will bring some, some, not necessarily just substance, but a story behind obviously the games, and there's a family. So, it's always great. Obviously the focus being on the athletes when obviously something like the Special Olympics, But around them, there's such a huge community. So there's coaches, there's friends, there's families. There's a lot of people involved with getting that child to a start
Yeah.
line. So we thought, look, why don't we tell a story? But it's not just of me racing with Rio; it's the whole team,
Mm.
which was my wife and my daughter Tia, doing this activation. So we said, look, and also the great thing about the Special Olympics, it included the whole Emirates, because all teams were staying and living in different parts and different Emirates, and they were being looked after. And they did a series of other events called Walk Unified in different Emirates as well. And we just thought, look, why don't we do something, and we'll go in every Emirate and do a half Ironman, so 1.9 swim, 90k bike, 21k run. And it was something I've always wanted. I'm not saying wanted to do. I come up with these silly ideas, but it was just it was something as a checklist somewhere, but I didn't know how. And because we had Special Olympics behind us, they helped us. So they helped us all with the introduction, all with the administration. Obviously, when we went to each emirate, everyone was brilliant. From the Coast Guard because we're in the water, to the police because we're on the main roads, we're cycling. It was unbelievable. We were embraced in every emirate, and it was absolutely magical. But yeah, we did 7.5 Ironman. I can't believe it. 7.5 Ironmans in 7 days. In probably the worst ever conditions of 1 week in Dubai, in the UAE. It was like, some days we were high waves, sandstorms. Some days it rained. I was just everything, the whole weather system that came through the UAE. I think every day we had something different.
Yeah. Team Angel Wolf just doesn't have an off season. You guys just plow through all conditions.
Look, I think it's not about an off season. I think it's because we're a non-profit organization. We've always got to recreate ourselves, and I think what we found over the years, because we've done so many races, it's almost normal that we're there, and there's not the wow factor's almost gone. So you've got to keep reinventing it. How can we do something a little bit difference that then when we come to partners like you guys, you go, oh, I love what you're doing. There's so much content. How can we do something together rather than, if we just did a running race the last 5 years, I think now it would have been, okay, here we go, Team Angel Wolf. So, there's no off season. Get bored.
Yeah, I can sense that. You're not the kind of guy who sits around
not really
watching Netflix and things like that. So look, something I'm actually really interested in as well. You're obviously, you're putting your body through a lot, and you're obviously training for it, but your family, you and the family follow a completely plant-based diet.
Yep.
Now, I suppose veganism and plant-based diets are far more mainstream now than they would have been even 5 years ago.
Yep.
And probably someone who's doing the amount of physical activity and putting in the miles and the kind of demands on your body that you're putting in, people might have found that hard to imagine on the plant-based diet. So, how have you always been plant-based, or were you?
No, not at all. The kind of history would probably start with my wife. So Delphine has been vegetarian, I think, from the age of about 13. She had a digestive problem at the time as a teenager. And the specialist that he saw just said, look, keep off meat, fish, dairy for the time. And not necessarily dairy, so I'm just meat and fish. And I think it was a 6-month period, and she just never went back. So as long as I've known her, she's always been vegetarian. So it was kind of there, you know what I mean? And I'm the foodie. I cook. I love cooking. I spend time in the kitchen. I love that environment. So I cook a lot. So most of the dishes that I would cook would generally be vegetarian. Now and again, I'd buy a bit of salmon, grill it, stick it on the top. So it was kind of almost natural. And then when we'd done our first season, so we did 2 long races. So we did obviously Dubai International Triathlon. We did another half Ironman in the February, and our race season here in Dubai kind of finishes obviously in the summer, and then the next season kicks off. And we'd done the 2 races, and I thought I need to look at obviously my performance and where this may go. And I kind of, our vision then was we race every weekend. And a friend of ours gave me a book and said, look, you might want to read this. A guy called Rick Roll, who wrote a book called Finding Ultra. And his thing was, a little bit life-changing. Literally almost at death's door, with a heart condition, diabetes, high cholesterol, And he woke up one morning and said, "No, I'm going to go plant based." And then his story is pretty awesome. His story then goes into ultra running. It goes into ultra triathlons. An ultra triathlon is like back-to-back Ironmans, and he did it all plant-based and create some books. Him and his wife, and some cookery books as well. And I was like, I need to get these books. And I love the story. The story is a really good story. Huge respect to him and his family. And the cooking books were like, wow, oh my God. And I love cooking. So I started to look at these recipes and going, there are so many wonderful ingredients. And I started to make them. And I just started to realize again as a foodie that where flavor comes from, and it comes from so many different ingredients, and most of them are plant based. But you have to be very innovative, lots of creativity. And I'm a bit of an artist anyway. And I just started to experiment, and I just went, this food is brilliant. So I just said one day, I'm going to go vegan. Delphine's like, what? She was actually quite happy. So she was like, yep, we do it together. And for me, like I said, I don't do things in half. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And I think I got to about 3 months and I felt wonderful. The season had kicked in. We'd started to race again. I'd shedded loads of weight. Body fat had disappeared. Felt really good. Felt stronger, faster than I'd ever done. I was like, there's no logic in me turning back. And then over the year, I mean, I've tried things. We've gone out. I'm not stupidly strict now and again. I'll try things, a bit cheese here and then. My body now just doesn't deal with it very well at all.
You don't crave it or anything?
Not at all. Yeah. Not at all. Maybe cheese now and again, but apparently some really good vegan cheese.
Yeah, exactly.
But now, like you said, the market has grown so much. There are an amazing products. I'm 6 years now, 6 years of being plant-based. And I just come to realize that, yeah, it's the way ahead. And also what's really cool is restaurants and chefs are becoming creative as well. So even now when you go out, there are some fantastic foods out there, especially Dubai, in its infancy as a culinary destination. People are trying, but I haven't traveled to Europe for a long time or the US, but I can imagine it would be huge.
Exactly. Yeah. And I suppose, I mean, if anyone has any doubts about the plant-based diet, you're probably a good test case, because food is obviously a very important source of fuel for you 100%. When you're, when you're doing all these races and challenges and everything. So it's probably, you're probably a good example for anyone who's considering it at the moment, or who's curious to try to go plant-based.
Yeah, and look, and I think like anything, like you said, for a lot of people, a lot of it is, I wouldn't say it's trial and error, but you really need to try. You've got to give it 3 months. Do not even think 1-2 weeks. Give it 3 months. Fully commit. Look for great produce and just see how you feel. But like I said, there's I've got a lot of South African friends, and they're never going to give up a bit of meat. So it's just one of those things, and feel good for it.
I think that and it's to go back to an earlier theme, I think one thing we have, obviously, amongst our brands, we have lots of vegan on Freedom Pizza, Wildflower, and Coco Yogo particularly. We have a lot of vegan ingredients and exclusively plant-based products. But I suppose one thing we're trying to look at is, okay, you don't have to be all in on plant-based diets. If you want to, have a bit, get a bit more plant-based in, we've got some options for you. So it's about not having these like teams assigned to your diet and your form of exercise. It's gone,
great.
Anyone can try this, and it's if it's not for you, it's not for you. But there's options out there. You don't have to be exclusively one or the other, I suppose.
Yeah, look, and I think that's where the nice thing is. Maybe the terminology. I think the word vegan is a bit off-putting. I think, like you said earlier, plant-based. It's nice. People want to maybe try things, and like you said, it's all about it's all about trial and error on what works. But obviously we've created, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it in a minute, the Team Angel Wolf pizza, which took us some time. But it's brilliant, you know what I mean? So you just kind of go with some great ingredients, what you can do. We've had friends obviously go out and test the pizza, and they've tied it to their kids and they've not told them it's vegan, and they're like, I told them afterwards, and they're like, what's vegan cheese? And no, this is 100% plant-based. And they're going, wow, when can we have another one? So I think also it's allowing people to maybe just experiment, because there's some great fruit,
dip their toes in
100%, 100%.
Yeah. No, and you mentioned it there. So at the beginning of June, we announced our partnership with Team Angel Wolf, Crush Brands, and I think over the next 12 months, we're going to have a lot of cool stuff going on with
Yep.
you guys. We obviously, as you mentioned, kicked that off with the Team Angel Wolf pizza
Yep.
with Freedom Pizza. I dragged you guys down to the Marina store well over a year ago at this
Yep.
stage.
Was it a year ago?
So and again, I suppose at the time I didn't realize you were the foodie that you're telling me you are now. But
Yep.
the pizza that you made, and the Team Angel Wolf pizza is made by Team Angel Wolf, which is probably the coolest part. Is you had a big influence on the ingredients. I think you picked out pretty much everything. And I mean, as a non-vegan, I can tell you it tastes great, and I think it's a really cool launch pad for our partnership and everything. And I think we've, between Team Angel Wolf and Crush Brands as a company, we have a lot of shared values.
Yep.
So it's a really nice fit, and I'm very excited to see where we can take that. And yeah, it's cool that we've got this plant-based different variation. I think it's our fourth plant-based pizza on our menu.
Yep.
And we've gotten, like you've heard as well, we've gotten great feedback from it.
Yes.
Which is always good to hear, and probably gives you a bit of an ego boost as well. Now that you know your foodie credentials have been verified by the public. So that's pretty nice. But just to kind of wrap things up, where do you see what's the next few months and 12 months, let's say, hold for Team Angel Wolf? It seems like not even COVID-19 can stop you guys. So when things kind of get to some sort of normality, what does the next few months look like?
I don't think it's more about the normality. I think it's like in any situation, you always have to reinvent yourself. I think for all of us have been on a roller coaster ride, especially at the moment for many people and many families. Unfortunately, people are losing their jobs. You mentioned about mental health, people being at home, a lot of uncertainty about the future. And I think for us, it's typical me, the entrepreneur, trying to think what else could we do. So we kicked off obviously with Climb with Rio. We've now just move in June. So the inspiration is to inspire people. Next month, haven't really announced it, so we'll announce it now. We're going to do something called Walk with Rio. So this month was Ride with Rio. Rio will walk at Sustainable City every morning, 1 kilometer. So we want to bring things back to basics. And again, our focus again when we're doing this with Rio, it's about inclusion. So it's our family, obviously walking with Rio, but we want other people to join us, obviously in safe environment. And there's not too many people, but we can be spread out. So that's going to kick off for July, August. We're going to do another activity again every day. So it's going to be inclusion. It's going to be brother and sister, which is going to just be epic. So we're always trying to think about obviously how we can engage with people. The Climb with Rio World Tour, we're kicking that off next month. We'd love to get you guys involved. So the idea is every month we're going to go to a continent. Mm-hmm. So because we can now climb anywhere, whatever, we can do it at home or outside. So we're going to get obviously the public to go and pick a landmark or a building or whatever that might be in Europe. So we're going to reach out to all the schools, companies, individuals and say, look, on the last weekend of the month, we will climb like we did with Climb with Rio over 3 days. You climb your landmark. So for a company, they could, again, same thing. They could pick the Eiffel Tower as a company group and see how many times they climb up it, or they can make it as an individual and quickest time, etc. Schools can do the same. And then for the next 6 months, obviously, we know there's 7 continents. We're going to join Australia with Antarctica because there's not much in Antarctica. So we thought for 6 months, every month, we move to another continent. We do the same thing. I will pick in each continent a landmark and I'll climb with Rio. And again, when we get to December, we're like, yeah, let's just repeat it. Let's just see. And I think like anything in life, a little bit, sometimes it has to be about repetition. You just got to give it a go. Like every night we're doing at the moment some live interactions. So we're on Instagram and Facebook, just doing a summary of our day. And I think what we've learned over the last, and we've wanted to do this for a long, long time, is be a platform where people can tell their stories. Everyone has a story. John, you have a story. I'd love to know your story. There's always a why behind something, what inspires them to be active, either to go to the gym, find their sport. If it's a triathlon, it's cross, whatever it is. And what we're doing at the moment, as we're active every day cycling, we're asking every people to send in their photos. What did you do in June? And I'm a firm believer that as we start to tell people stories, and we're going to do it through webinars. So once a week, we're going to do a webinar live section. We'll invite guests on. So we're live and we're going to give them a series of questions, send them out before. But I want to know what people's why are. And I'll tell you a great story. Just in the last couple of days, there's been a guy cycling with us every morning, see him at the bottom stick, off he goes. And probably about a week into it, I was like, "You're cycling here every day?" He said, "Yeah. Big guy from South Africa, lovely, Alex." He says, "Yeah. I'm cycling 50K." And then, he disappeared, came back next day, still there. And I was like, "You're riding because of us?" And he said, "Yeah. I've inspired by what you're doing. I'm out
Brilliant.
every day." And I was like, "Okay, can you send me some photos and I'll put them up?" But not only did he send me some photos, he sent me some videos and he sent me what's his why. So this guy, 2 years ago, 160 kilos, literally pre-diabetic, high cholesterol, gout, taking tablets for his cholesterol, and was in a little bit of a mess, to be honest with you. And it was a bit of a turning curve. He's got 3 children, a lovely wife, and he just turned around and said, "Look, I'm being selfish. I'm not looking after myself nor the rest of my family." He said, "I'm going to do an Ironman." So in Dubai in February, and he prepared himself a good period of time, 6 days a week. He was training, and yeah, he swam 1.9 kilometers, cycled 90, and ran 21. By this time, he dropped down to about 125 kilos,
Nice.
and bit life changing. And I was like, "This is awesome." And then obviously during the lockdown, unfortunately, he's lost his job. He's put on a little bit of weight, and then he saw our initiative and he thought, "Oh, I need to do something. I need to get back out." So every day he's cycling.
That's amazing.
So I told his story the other day. I was in tears. He was watching at home on Facebook. He was in tears. His wife was in. I was like, "This is awesome." And we had such an amazing feedback from his story. I'm like, this for us means the world to us, because Team Angel, again, people will get to know our story. It's a father, it's a son, it's a family. We love what we're doing, and most importantly, Rio's always happy.
Yeah.
But out there are some amazing stories, and we don't know them. So I always think when we go to races, okay, the pros are there, they get paid for that. They run really fast, and you go, "I'd love to run 2 hours a marathon." Yeah, it's not going to happen, is it? But they get paid for that, and I'm sure there's some fantastic stories there. But when you run pushing a chair, you're generally somewhere near the back, and you get to see all different people, different shapes, different sizes, different nationalities, different backgrounds. And I'm like, there's a reason why you're here. There's a reason why you're running 42 kilometers. And I reckon if we can tell those stories and inspire one person to move because of their story, how epic's that?
Yeah.
So it's a big goal for us at the moment, and it's nice. It's awesome. It's warming for what we are. So yeah, so things, and again, like I said to you earlier, we're just thinking webinars, podcasts. How can we be a platform that people can come to, but tell their story, and that's where we're thinking out of the box. So, how now do we engage with corporates and schools? So before I've done lots of corporate talks, school talks, but now they have to be online. So I'm now thinking, okay, I'm looking at your room, set up cameras and make it work and make it an experience that anyone can tune in around the world, rather being sat in an auditorium and have us speak.
Yeah. Well, again, coming back to what we've learned over the past couple of months, it sounds like you've done it. You adapt, you improvise, and you adapt, and then you figure out a way to do it, and that's really powerful there. Nick, I'm pumped up. I'm ready to go. You've given me the blow up the ass I needed. So listen, thank you so much for coming in today. Really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll everyone keep an eye out for what's coming with Crush Brands, Freedom Pizza, Wildflower, Coco Yogo, Salad Jar, and Team Angel Wolf. We're going to do lots of cool stuff over the next year or so. So let's do it.
Look, and I just want to thank you personally just for embracing Team Angel Wolf. You sent me some stuff over the other last night for like some of the branding, and I was like, it looks really cool. There's some cool, people are saying to us, your brands really work well together, the logos and stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, look, and I love the story again from Ian, again, an entrepreneur that's worked really hard to get where he is today. We've all got lots of things in common. So we're very, very grateful that you've also taken us on board. And like you said, there's going to be some exciting things coming up. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you.